So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd now like to call upon our next storyteller. He's been in recovery for nearly 13 years. He works with men promoting healing, advocating for services, and supporting their well-being. He's a father, uncle, brother, son, and most importantly, a friend. And he is honored to be sharing his story with you today. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the front, Clarence Fisher.
I'll take this one. Yeah, try to get close. Yeah. They want me to yell at you guys. Normally, I speak very softly. So a lot of people tell me to speak up, speak loud. Nimakage Ganu Dijnakaz. My name is Clarence Fisher. And before I start my story, I just want to share with you, I'm nervous. I'm nervous up here. And me sharing that with you is part of my healing journey. You know, I've learned that I need to speak those things that are inside of me. I need to give them space, because when they exist in here, you know, they begin to pile up and they begin to impact us negatively. So I'm nervous. I'm not nervous because of all you strangers. I really appreciate you being here, by the way. But I'm nervous because I have people that I know in this room that we lived a different type of lifestyle in our past lives, and now we're in recovery. Those people know me personally. I'm also nervous because I have my sons and my niece here with me. And you know, in my journey in my life, I haven't been the best person, but today I am the best person, and I try to set an example. I need to be their hero, and that sometimes that could be heavy. And those are the reasons why I'm nervous, and I'm sharing that with you because I need to release it. So with that, I'll begin my story. Who here has experienced grief in their life? Grief is something that touches all of us at some point. It's a powerful emotion. And today I want to share a story with you, a story about grief, loss, and recovery. Picture a summer day in a small community in 1984. The world and everything in it was new for two young brothers, aged 4 and 5. With their hearts filled with adventure, they decided to sneak away from home. They would arrive at the banks of a steep hill, and below lay a river which flowed into the lake. Curious, they began to climb down that hill. The younger brother would lose his footing and slip into the water. Filled with fear, the older brother would follow in an attempt to save him. Straining to take their next breath, they began to push and pull, panicked and desperate to hold on. They began to sink. Their frantic struggles would turn to embrace as water filled their lungs. Tragically, they would perish that day together. Meanwhile, in a nearby nursery, a 6-month-old baby laid, and he was unaware of the events that unfolded just miles away. I was that infant, and they were my brothers. My family was deeply impacted by those events that day. Sorry. The grief that my family was deeply impacted by the event that day. The grief led my mother to abandon me with my father. Understandably, she struggled to cope with the pain. my father would turn the world off and become jaded. Although I was blessed. I was blessed to have grandparents that would fill that void in the absence of my mother. But when I was between the ages of 10 and 12, they too made their journey into the spirit world. And I must also mention that around that time in my life, I became a survivor of sexual abuse. So my life began in a tragedy. And though I found a place of safety with a loving family, even that would fade away. The hurt and loneliness I carried inside became my only existence. The pain was real. I was a child and I knew nothing about healing. At 13, I'd wake at 5 a.m. to the sound of my father making his lunch before he'd leave for work. I would stand alone at that window, watching his truck drive down that dark winter road. He was my last sense of safety for that boy standing there, crying, wiping his tears. From then on, I was on a journey to stop the hurt in my heart. Addiction is a powerful thing. It promises relief, but it always compounds the hurt we carry inside. I regularly got kicked out of school due to my behavioral problems. At 14, I received my first criminal charge. I was placed in a group home at 15. At 16, I was incarcerated. And at 17, I was roaming the streets of Thunder Bay, homeless. That infant in the nursery, that boy standing in the window crying, he would continue to suffer, aimlessly searching for peace in his heart. Do you remember the last person you've seen sleeping on the sidewalk? That was me. Do you remember that needle in a storm drain? That belonged to me. Do you remember the person walking with wet feet on a cold winter day? That also was me. And that person was fighting an internal battle you can't see. So the next time you see that person, have some compassion for me. But today, that person, he weeps for others like him. He loves his children uniquely, each of them. And I love my family endlessly. He finds strength in his community and rejoices in the experiences he's been given. He's discovered a purpose in the pain he carries. And he's 13 years drug-free. Miigwech. And before I leave you here with today, I'd just like to share a few words that might help you in your own moments of grief and heartache. So in the absence of somebody we love fills our heart with sorrow. That sorrow we experience, you know, that real deep ache in our hearts. It's beautiful. Absolutely. Because that pain is a representation of the love we shared, the relationships we built with that person. And the absence of that pain that we carry, that would only mean that those people never existed in our lives, and we would never trade that. It's a personal journey, grief. But take your time, be still, embrace the hurt. Honor your loved ones with your tears. It's okay. It's okay not to be okay. You know, we give ourselves anxiety when we think about when is this going to be over? When is the hurt going to stop inside? You know, and often we numb those with drugs and alcohol. You know, and that anxiety that causes us to look for the future, and the guilt and shame when we look at the past, when all we need to do is be present, be here, you know. our Creator, God, has given us those emotions, and they're beautiful. I promise you, when you've walked that path to its end, you'll come to a place. You will come to a place of knowing peace and knowing that you've experienced true love. Miigwech.
Clarence is tall. He's a tall gentleman. Please, one more time for Clarence Fisher, please. Come on, get nice and loud.